I actually have two pieces of news for you. The first piece of news is that lunch is on us, so please enjoy. You deserved it. It's been a busy morning with a lot of things, so please enjoy lunch. The second piece of news I have for you, and I'm sure it's going to be good news, is that I think you're going to have maybe the most informative and potentially most entertaining luncheon you've had in a while. So you'll be the judge. I will definitely let you kind of think about that, and we can talk about this at the end of this session. But just to get things started, let me introduce myself. I'm Tanguy Leborgne. I'm the VP of the Consumer Solutions at Plantronics. I think this is the best job in the company. And the reason why is that I'm pretty much spending my time with my team looking at what's happening in the market, trying to understand what's actually kind of happening there, which big problems are there when it comes to communicating, when it comes to having fun, when it comes to playing games. And we've really tried to understand what we can do about this at Plantronics. And so the consumer business is actually a thriving business within Plantronics. Plantronics might be known for its enterprise business, and we are indeed very strong in the enterprise space, but we are also really kind of getting there when it comes to mobile communication, mobile entertainment, or even gaming solutions in the individual space. So I don't know how many of you were here yesterday, just trying to get a sense, how many of you participated to the enterprise session yesterday? Okay, so it's a little bit more than half of the room. So those of you who were here yesterday remember that Plantronics has been in the wearable space for a while. But you might not know, for those of you who were not here, for how long. So I can tell you, it's not 5 years, it's not 10 years, it's not even 20 years, it's 52 years that we have been in the wearable space. And we've definitely been one of those pioneers when it comes to personal communication devices, but we've been able to actually move beyond the audio, move beyond those headsets that we've been very successful with, really trying to establish stronger platforms where those devices are actually an integral part of a solution that goes above and beyond. So having said this, we are not going to spend the next hour talking about us. As interesting as it might be, as passionate as we might be, we want to make sure that we actually kind of share our excitement with you on what we believe is really going to be the next revolution. And you in this room, you all believe this because that's actually the reason why you came to this Wearable Tech Expo. We believe that wearable technology is just going to change the way we live. And there's huge convergence happening these days. We're going to share actually our best insights on what we believe this convergence is about and how we together can pretty much become the indispensable companion for anyone who's part of the connected generation. And this indispensable companion means that we want to build the technology that's actually kind of be a turnaround technology. You know, those technologies that you really kind of leave home without and you actually come back home to kind of take them for a full day of adventures, entertainment, and productivity. That's what we all want to be, and we're definitely going to spend time on this, really kind of going indeed through the details of what wearable technology can mean to our lives today and tomorrow. Having said this, we are obviously kind of, and I'm not going to do it alone, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce Carrie Brown on stage. Carrie? All right. So I'm going to pass the baton to Carrie, but before I would like to introduce Carrie. Carrie is our Senior Director of Innovation and New Ventures at Plantronics. That means that Carrie and his team are the ones living and breathing technology and how it can help us be better in this connected world we live in. And with that said, Carrie, take us through.
Oh, why, thank you, Tanguy. So I think I would disagree with Tanguy. I think I actually have the best job at Plantronics. We as a team for innovation and new ventures, we actually get to play with the future. We get to play around with wearable technology. And we have a multidiscipline team that can take and build from the ground up bare metal solutions. We can write the firmware for those solutions, and we can write the software solutions on top of that. It's really a great place to be. And this is a very exciting industry that we're all participating in and trying to grow. So when we talk about technology and we think about devices that we're wearing, I think that is the concept is wearable. But when we look at, let me make sure I get this clicker right. There we go. So when we look at the devices themselves, they are worn on our body, but I think it's actually the harvesting of the devices that we are wearing with the environment around to make an awareness of ourselves, an awareness of ourselves on the environment that we're in at the time. And it's about being a wearable. So I'm here today to share some insights with you. I'm not going to talk about product. I'm going to talk about trends. And so when we look at trends, we've seen quite a few things happen, in the last 100 or so years. These technology trends that we've seen have been disruptive. There's been some really big ones. Flight, for example, automotive, or being able to create these self-moving vehicles. When these technologies first came out, they were very primitive. A car, when it first came out, was very interesting if you were driving it in fields. But over time, we started to see improvements in the technology and the infrastructure to support that new technology. So roads, being able to refine fuel. But we're seeing these incremental transitions which have led to mass adoption. I think we're on the verge of one of those trends right now, and one of those transitions. And that is around compute and ubiquitous computing. We've seen computers become smaller and smaller, more energy efficient. We've seen their ability to, fit in my pocket and transmit data to the internet. So we have connectivity almost ubiquitously in, I would say, most parts of the world. We have ubiquitous connectivity. We take those transitions, the ability for devices to be low-powered, the ability to connect out and to interoperate with each other, and I think that's where we start to see this emergence of this wearable trend. This is a fantastic spot to be, because I think right now we are just at the beginnings. What it looks like today is, I've been amazed at what I've seen here. There's been some just amazing concepts. I mean, we have taken, I've seen devices that are very simple to use for fitness, monitoring my health, that quantified self. We're seeing the emergence of that here. The ability to actually have wearable technology improve, your vision after you've lost it. I mean, that was an amazing talk yesterday. Building devices that are elegant and simple with long battery life. All of these things that we've seen are great, and they're going to be connected. And right now, they're kind of connected one way. They're connected to a phone, or they're connected to, a computer. But what we're going to see is this transition where these devices are going to connect with each other, and they're going to be participating in a much broader ecosystem. Now, the reason I say that, and the reason I really feel that, is that when we look at a broader ecosystem, there needs to be some fundamental underpinnings. Similar to a car needs to have refined fuel, it needs to have an engine, there needs to be somebody to build tires. What are those underpinnings that would make our devices a wearable? If we look at it today, I think there's three major technologies that are out there. I mentioned one of them, which is ubiquitous connectivity. I can connect on my mobile device anywhere. It's small, it's portable. It allows me to connect to the cloud where I can retrieve data, and I can actually do something with that. The second piece of this enabling technology, these pillars, what we can build on, is analytics. So we've had conversations around how data can be used. What's really valuable sensor data? Taking that and crunching it in an analytical manner to bend that data around me and to make it relevant to me is possible. We can do that today. And we're also seeing, with increased compute horsepower, that data analytics engine is getting faster and faster and faster. I would conjecture in the next few years we will have real-time analytics, where we can actually transmit data and within a few milliseconds get back some answer. The third piece of that puzzle is the cloud. So being able to take, if we build very small devices, being able to offload that processing power to the cloud compute. We have storage, we have CPUs, And we can spin these things up today just like you flip a light switch. Virtualization technologies have really enabled the ability for the cloud to play an important role here in wearable technology. And the last piece, this is the Voyager Legend, but replace it with your shoes, replace it with your belt, replace it with your bracelet, whatever piece of wearable technology that we're all thinking about building, replace it with that, and you plug it in, and you have a very powerful ecosystem that can enable you to not only share across one device, but multiple devices. So this is the technology transition. Those three pieces of the circle are there. We can use that, we can leverage that today. The fourth piece is what we're working on together as a community, and it's very, very exciting. Some of the big buckets that we've been looking at as a community are, there's some here that I'll go through. The first that I've seen a lot of is this wellness, this ability to perpetually monitor, how many steps you're taking, what's your heart rate, being able to take that data and quantify yourself so you can understand how well you're doing against a plan. I think that's awesome. For infotainment, wearables become very interesting in virtual environments, gaming, being able to actually immerse yourself into a video game, even into a cityscape, where you are participating through augmentation based on the device's sensing capabilities, not only one device, but also the environment around you. When we look at industrial and military, I think Motorola had a fantastic demo of a wearable computer, showing how a wearable can actually help somebody remain safe or to bring up information at the point in time that they need it. But there are industrial applications as well. When we think of healthcare and medical, we should be looking at not only like the vision piece, which I thought was fantastic, being able to restore vision or functionality that was lost, but also we're aging as a society, and we're also growing more geographically distributed. How do we take, how can I monitor my parents? How can I make sure that people that are aging can age in place and they can age for a long time? I think wearable technology has a very interesting application there for monitoring and making sure that, I can check up on my dad, and I don't need to know exactly what he's doing, but if I can know that he's okay and the sensors that he's wearing and can tell me that, I think that's fantastic, and it's another great opportunity for us. For business and office, I mentioned really it's about efficiencies and reducing friction, being able to use wearable technology to gain you building access, to allow you to transition communications, to also take the enterprise functionality and streamline workflows, being able to take what you're wearing and integrate it into a business process. It seems kind of abstract, but the enterprise is a very interesting space. There's a lot of businesses out there. How can we actually integrate wearable technology into those workflows to actually add value to business? And the last one is communications. And it's not really last, there's no ordering here, but going down the chart, the last one is communications. Audio experiences are something that a wearable device should be giving, or at least in operation with other wearable devices, there should be an audio element for sure, a video element, being able to capture information and process it in the cloud. One of the things that we've spent a lot of time as a society doing is taking our physical selves and projecting it virtually. So with Facebook, for example, or for instant messaging, you have presence, you have these capabilities, and we spend a lot of time, or at least I see a lot of people spending a lot of time, projecting their physical selves into a virtual environment. Well, maybe wearable technology can bring that virtual environment back to the physical. If I'm walking and I'm really not happy, I may tweet about it, or may not, but maybe my device changes color. So it gives an indicator, but being able to map virtual back to the physical is another area of opportunity. And so let me see here. So what is the opportunity? There's been different variations of this slide. This one comes from Credit Suisse. Today, I think we're looking at a $3 to $5 billion market opportunity for wearable technology. We took a conservative number. We took the lower bounds of some of the estimates, but $40 to $50 million or $40 to $50 billion seems to be has the right flavor for forecast, and that's like super exciting. I mean, That is a big pie, that's a big pond for all of us to play in. So what does that pond look like, I guess, in a physical sense? So we've talked about concepts virtually, talked about some of the areas where you can apply wearable technology, but I think what the new normal is going to change for us. So I'll give by example. So I travel a lot for my job, and one of the first, back, I won't age myself too much, but back in the day when I used to travel, I would print out, my itinerary, my tickets. I would either, if I didn't have the map to get me to the hotel, I would get a small street map. It would be paper, and I'd have an envelope stuffed with, all of the stuff I needed to get me someplace. Okay. Now today, when I'm traveling, I don't really plan. I just show up, but I use this, right? The problem with this is, well, the areas where we can improve with this device is that when I'm traveling now and I'm walking around the streets of New York and I don't know where I'm going, I'm doing this, okay? And that's really kind of, well, it works, it's efficient, it can tell me kind of where I need to go. And I have other apps on this device that can tell me things like, well, where's a good restaurant? Well, I'll use Yelp or some other service to find that. What are some points of interest? Well, maybe Google Maps can tell me that, maybe it can't. But I'm focused here, and I'm missing the entire experience around me. I think in the future, in the new way, the actual new normal is going to be about participation of sensors working together to where I can elevate my vision, I can elevate my experience beyond the screen. And to do that, it's going to be a combination of things. So by example, what I would conjecture could be a possibility for my travel experience in the future is that when I get off the plane and I'm walking down the streets of New York, my clothing that I put on is sensing the environment around me. It may sense things like air quality. It may sense things like rain, if it's raining on me. But clothing is sensing. The shoes that I'm wearing, perhaps they have a moisture detector as well. Maybe they have temperature. Also, maybe they've got some scales and an accelerometer in there to say, well, Carrie, you've gained a couple pounds on this trip, but maybe my shoes are aware of that. The belt that I'm wearing, maybe it has a tension sensor on there and it says, wow, yeah, that's right. The combination of my shoes and my belt, you've definitely gained a couple of pounds over this trip. But those are working together to kind of give you a little bit of a snapshot. So as I'm walking along the street, I've got a device, maybe it's in my ear, maybe it's projecting from my lapel. But it's telling me, nothing until I ask it. And that ambient kind of thing where the technology kind of disappears. If you were to look at me walking down the street, well, today I'd love to be wearing all sorts of gadgets, but if I'm just walking down the street, I would really like it to be discreet. And we talked about that a little bit yesterday. But having that discrete technology on me where if I'm walking and I'm getting hungry, I can just ask, where's the restaurant at? Now, today, you could do a Google Map lookup on that, and that gives you one perspective of where a restaurant could be. But if I can actually harness the wearable technology I'm wearing, it can say, well, you've taken about 3,000 steps today. You need to take 10,000. And it doesn't have to say this to me. It can say that. It can say, oh, I've noticed that it's raining outside. Maybe, and I know where your geolocation is. So maybe what I can do is I can take that sensor information. I can ask the cloud for personality characteristics about myself. What do I like to eat? What's my fitness goals? What is my, how many calories am I supposed to consume today? And it can do that calculation using analytics, and it can give me an answer instantaneously that says, well, go to McDonald's. It's 10 blocks down the road. But and it will guide me to that restaurant. But it's actually harvesting all of the stuff that I'm wearing. It's harvesting the environment around me to know where I'm at. And it also knows about me. So it's bending that experience to me and to you. So that could be the new normal. And I think that would be a fantastic new normal. Because then I could actually enjoy the city. I could see the buildings instead of focusing on my screen here. So at Plantronics, we've had some experience developing wearable technology. I just wanted to provide you a few insights as to some things to consider, not as us telling you, you need to make it this way, but more like, when we're building wearable technology, these are some of the elements that we actually consider. Sensors. So we've been putting sensors in devices for years, but it's not just about loading the sensors, as many sensors as possible onto a very small device. It's about picking sensor technology that makes sense to end users. Does it make the end user happy? Does it make, is it relieving some sort of problem or pressure point or friction point for that user? Getting the right combination of sensors is tricky. The algorithms behind that are even trickier. But sensor selection is very important. The next piece is applications. Application development is very, very, very interesting. If you were to take applications and have them just being one at a time, it causes a lot of context switching, but it would be great if applications could take advantage of not only just one wearable device, but many wearable devices. But make it also very relevant to the user. I think the example I saw yesterday with the Luma, the back belt thing, that was fantastic. I love that application. The stick figure walking around, it was perfect. But it made it fun. And I think having compelling application experiences will help drive the wearable experience. Privacy. With a sensing environment and having connectivity, whose data is it? I think that's going to be one of the questions we will have to answer as an industry is where does data go? Who does it belong to? If it's my heart rate data, is that my data? Where does it reside? On my device, in the cloud? But being able to figure out policy around data management, your data management, is going to be one of the areas we need to tackle. Power consumption. We've seen some very elegant devices that run on a battery for 6 months. I think that's fantastic. One of the big key things for wearable technology is to have devices that you could almost forget about charging. I think that should be a great design goal for all of us. Interoperability. The new normal that I just spoke to requires interoperability between devices. If we don't have standards around how data should be transmitted or types of data, how do you interoperate? It becomes very siloed. And I think to actually deliver that new level of experience, we need to have bridges between sensing islands. And we can do that through standardization. Development platforms. So this is kind of core to Plantronics DNA, and that is really to expose the sensing capabilities, all of the device capabilities that we build into these pieces of hardware, being able to expose that through application programming interfaces or APIs to developers so they can take the technology and innovate with it themselves or integrate it into an existing solution. And ergonomics. So fit, finish, beauty, all essential elements of great wearable technology. Being able to have the technology disappear into my clothing would be fantastic, or have it, stylish enough to where I can wear it out and not feel like a total geek. That's, we need to think about that. All day long comfort as well. If the device isn't comfortable, I think it will actually hinder adoption. Unless it's stylistic, because we talked about shoes just a little bit ago, so maybe not. And then connectivity. To take advantage of those 3 pillars that I mentioned, the cloud, connectivity is actually, and the cloud and analytics, connectivity is absolutely essential. It's an important piece of wearable technology, is either to be able to connect directly to the cloud or to connect to something else that can provide that for you, to proxy that information over to another device. And the last piece is something that I think we'll show here in just a second, is miniaturization. It may seem very simple to build wearable technology that is very small and elegant, but actually getting something down to a very small form factor that has a great functionality, great sensing capability, and great power management capabilities is difficult. When you think about building miniaturization, that really needs to be engineered into the product from the get-go. Very hard to reverse engineer something if you can't just port over something, and you have to plan miniaturization first. So that is some insights that I wanted to share with you. This is where things are going. And I'd like to ask Tanguy to come back up and actually share with you some of the things that we have today. So, Tanguy?
Yep. Thanks again, Kerry. Great and exciting things on the horizon. So I'm actually going to take pretty much most of the items that Kerry kind of covered here and try to illustrate them as much as I can with some of the present solutions that we've got, just sharing with you a little bit of our experience. So the product I have behind me is a product that some of you have won. So that was part of the prizes a little bit earlier today. This is Backbeat Go. This is actually Backbeat Go 2, that product that we announced a couple of days ago. The first version has been in the market for 1 year. We've definitely have hundreds of thousands of users. And there are a few things that we kept in mind when we designed the second version that we learned from the very first one. The very first one is related to design. I think that the session that we had this morning was kind of right on. I mean, when it comes to wearable technology, this is technology that you need to want to wear. And if you just don't want to wear it, it's just not going to be successful. So having great design is absolutely critical. But let's face it, when we try to design to the best we can, that's one step. But the market adoption and pretty much what people really feel about this is the most important step. And so you really have indeed to kind of really think hard about how you design your own devices to kind of get the best adoption. The second thing is connectivity, as we highlighted a few minutes ago. And connectivity is a very tough problem here to solve. We're lucky to have actually one of the fathers of the Bluetooth technology on board in-house at Plantronics. That helps, but even if you don't have one of the founders of Bluetooth, you can definitely work hard indeed on making sure this connectivity is going to be just top and really kind of shining. Another aspect related to such technology when it comes to great wearable technology is related to human factors. And human factors are critical. You know, when you look at your ears, actually everyone has a unique ear print. And we've spent the last 52 years restudying this in depth, having one of the largest databases in the world when it comes indeed to human ears to make sure that we get indeed the right fit. That's a very important aspect. We focus a lot on the ear, but there are many other of these elements that you need to think about when you think about wearable technology. Another key aspect here is also making sure that these devices will definitely resist to pretty much some of the tortures that you've seen, like in the demos yesterday. I think HDO had a definitely interesting demo. You could take that product and pretty much kind of get it indeed to go through that kind of torture. There's nano coating, there's protection that will really help you resist to water, to sweat, and some of those different materials. So these are some of the key elements, but the ones, or actually the two ones that I wanted to highlight now are maybe the most important because they're the most difficult to handle. One of them is power options and your power kind of management. And with such devices, it's actually pretty hard to get the right kind of balance between the size of the batteries themselves and the size of the device. Having said this, there are options available. One of the things we've implemented here is, for instance, deep sleep, which means that if you leave your device open, it's actually kind of going to turn off automatically after a few minutes, and you can pretty much get your product to keep all of its battery life for 6 months. You don't need to recharge it. But if you're really using it on an active basis, you can use some charging options. Look at this little pouch here. This is actually a charging pouch. You can keep it with you, and it gives pretty much 15 hours of autonomy for your Backbeat Go throughout your typical day. So there are definitely options that you can consider. Last point, but not least, miniaturization. This is clearly an element that Kerry highlighted as being one of those key things for us to consider, for all of us to consider when we think of wearable technology. And this miniaturization is, as I said, maybe the hardest thing to do because you really need indeed to get all of your key components pretty much in a very compact space. Backbeat Go is actually the most compact product in its category, and we really kind of had to go around a very big problem, which I'm sure you see. Even though you might not be technical, this is an exploded view of the Backbeat Go. What is the main thing you see on this picture? No, it's not the penny. It's not the penny. It's something else. No, the wire. No, something else. It's actually the battery. The battery is that big yellow thing here, which is pretty much taking the whole size of the enclosure. And so making sure that you actually go around this problem, because battery size is maybe that thing that is not going to go as fast in terms of reduction than any other component over the next few years, is a very tough problem to solve. Think of working with non-standard chipsets, for instance, or think of very creative uses of your components. For instance, we've wrapped our PCBA in a very flexible way around the battery to make sure that it would actually fit a much smaller space within the device. That's just one example, but these are the things to think about when you just cannot overcome one thing, which is the size of your battery. So having said this, there's definitely hope on the horizon. I think that some of you have seen some of those reports that pretty much say that by 2023, so it's in 10 years from now, the typical smartphone capabilities will be hosted in the frame of a glass. So there's pretty much here a reduction of about 100 to get indeed from where we are today to what is likely going to be the situation in 10 years or less. So this is an illustration on some of those key points, but there's actually another dimension which really makes the difference when it comes to wearable. And it is the fact that when I'm wearing a device, that device is actually close to me. This is maybe the closest piece of technology you can think of. And that device is providing one thing that the other devices are not very good at providing: context. So context is definitely the key differentiation, because this context makes my own device aware of who I am, where I am, my surroundings, the experiences I'm having. And this notion of context is actually what truly makes the difference to renew and completely enhance your experience, whether you're communicating, whether you're entertaining, whether you're actually kind of playing games. So let's think indeed of that dimension. I mean, having indeed context awareness means that my device can pretty much tell me who's trying to call me, or it can tell me which devices I'm actually connected to. Am I connected to my PC, to my smartphone, to my tablet? It can also give me indeed such indications like, or actually gives others indications like, hey, Tanguy is wearing his device, he's wearing his headset, he's available for a call, or he's available indeed for communication. So many of these aspects are definitely kind of that link to what we call context awareness. But context awareness can only be enabled if you have within your device sensors. And those sensors are pretty much what we have with a product like Voyager Legend, which was another prize that some of you got indeed earlier today. So this Voyager Legend has indeed capacitive sensors that pretty much can help detect some specific state that will help me make smarter decisions, or that will actually make smarter decisions for me. And whether those elements of context are related to wearing state, I mean, am I wearing this device or not? Whether they're related to telephony state, I mean, what's the information I can get from the person I'm talking to, or whether they're related to proximity. I mean, how far am I from my device, or how far is this device from my smartphone or my PC? These are definitely the key elements that can make, indeed, your experience a context-aware experience. So let's go through this, because you've got the wearable technology, you've got the sensors, but the context itself is not enough. You need the right applications. You need the right software to actually make the difference and get, indeed, this context to be truly enabled to transform your experience. So let me give you some examples here. Actually, a few examples. The first one is, I've got, indeed, my Plantronics Voyager Legend. If I'm receiving a call, there are multiple scenarios. That device might be at the bottom of my bag. And in that case, it knows that I'm not wearing it. It's going to route the call and the audio to my smartphone, my iPhone, for instance. Second scenario, I'm actually not wearing the device, but it's here, and I'm seeing that I receive an incoming call. I just need to put my device on, and it's going to take the call for me. I don't need to press any button. I don't need to say anything. It knows that I just kind of put it on, and it's going to take the call. Third scenario, I'm already wearing my device. I get an incoming call, and it's pretty much going to talk to me. Actually, it's going to be in French, because I've got the French version, and I just have to say répondre, and I will get, indeed, the call to get started. So that's what we mean by context awareness. Really, depending on the scenario, you really get, indeed, the right situation handled, or the right approach indeed from this device. Having said this, we only scratched the surface, and we definitely need help in order to think of all of the possible scenarios that can be pretty much realized through this context awareness capability. That's the reason why we actually launched 1 year ago the PDC. This is pretty much our development community, and this development community means that not only do we bring devices that have indeed these context-aware capabilities, but we definitely add to this APIs that got exposed, SDKs that developers can definitely use, and a community that really helps indeed those developers really understand what they can do with our technologies. So we pretty much enable a platform from these devices and give the tools to develop new solutions. This is extremely important because this is what's going to really make a difference between pretty much a headset and a real platform that's truly wearable and that can open a lot of solutions of multiple use cases. So we're running a little bit out of time, so I'm actually going to illustrate some of those elements, and you can see all of the different kind of interactions you've got in your typical day, whether it's with business applications or personal applications. One of the things that we can do here is to actually simplify your experience and use such devices as the conduit for pretty much interacting with the outside world and interacting throughout your typical day. So there are a few illustrations we could use, but I wanted to kind of use a couple of examples on this. The first one is actually from a company called Freewheel. And this company has done a fantastic thing here, which really helps sales reps to pretty much handle their customers in a more effective way. You know, companies invest millions in CRM systems, but if I'm a sales rep on the field with my smartphone, I'm receiving a cold call from a customer. In most cases, I don't have access to this information, and I cannot really kind of be as efficient as can be. Well, they've actually addressed that problem using our SDK and leveraging the information they could get from this device. And the way they've done it is that they pretty much kind of enabled a pop-up screen, which, just imagine the situation. If you are indeed, as a salesperson, between two meetings at a Starbucks, you've got your laptop with you, you're wearing indeed your headset, you get an incoming call. Instead of not knowing who it's coming from, their application is actually kind of just generating a pop-up screen, which is saying, hey, this is the number that's pretty much the incoming call. This is actually Amy Anton, so they get this information directly from Salesforce.com. And you can decide actually to say, okay, I need to remember what I've done with her. You still have not answered the call. You just had to press to see pretty much what the history has been with this person. And then you can pretty much take the call or not and actually open the conversation in pretty much saying, hey, Amy, so how have you been doing since our last call on 6/28? And you have indeed a real tool that enables you to have much more context than if you were indeed kind of caught with a cold call. And all of those elements can be even further optimized because still during your call, you can actually start to log the next steps and the different actions. You won't have to come back to your Salesforce.com in the evening to actually log all of that information. So that's a typical example here of one third-party company that actually leveraged the fact that we have this information, we are the conduit for that information, and we connect the dot between your smartphone, your PC, and the CRM system that was coming with this. A very powerful example. Another example, real quick, is pretty much related to smart lock. I can actually use my Voyager Legend to, while I'm kind of going away from my PC, lock the screen of that PC. And then when I'm kind of getting back in range, I can pretty much interact with my Voyager Legend. It can ask me if I want actually to unlock my screen, give me indeed, or I can give him a passphrase and get indeed my screen unlocked. But all of this with the power of the proximity state of this device. So whether it's wearing state, proximity state, telephony state, a lot of that information is available for developers to actually build new solutions. Some of them are in the enterprise space, other ones are clearly in the consumer space. So that's the present. This is available now. But let's now talk about the future because there's really more that we wanted to share with you. And that thing is pretty much written on my t-shirt. This is PLT Labs. That's indeed the case. And so we're going to talk indeed about PLT Labs. Kerry, why don't you walk us through PLT Labs?
Oh, absolutely. Thanks, Tanguy. All right. So we are super excited. I'm going to set that right there to actually launch today the availability of PLT Labs. So what is PLT Labs? PLT Labs is it's our public web property that really allows you as a community to plug into us as the innovation engine behind all of the wearable technology at Plantronics. So my team builds proof of concepts, we build prototypes, we experiment with sensor technology, and we have the multidiscipline team that addresses elements of software, hardware, firmware, those three pieces. So pltlabs.com is the place where you can go to get our insights on wearable technology and also insights on actual physical, tangible things that we're building in the labs. So as part of that, I showed this last night, and this looks an awful lot like what Tanguy just showed. But the team the innovation team at PLT Labs has actually taken this device. We have thrown a little bit more sensor technology and sensor capabilities in this. And did you all see the demos last night from us? Yeah? No? Oh, well, fantastic. All right. This is great. So what we're going to do is we're going to exercise the capabilities of this device. In addition to having the capacitive sensors that knows wear state, this device has 9 axes of sensing capabilities, so it can actually track movement in 3 dimensions. It has the ability, so I can listen to music on my iPhone as well. It has in it an MFI chip, and what MFI is made for iOS, and that allows you to actually natively integrate over Bluetooth with iOS devices, so you can send data over just regular Bluetooth. You don't need a Bluetooth low energy radio to do it. The device itself also has some algorithms built in, and it has free fall detection. It has a pedometer. All of this functionality is a very, very small form factor. So what I'm going to do and share with you is this concept device. We're going to actually exercise it a little bit. So we're going to do some demos, is what I'm trying to say. So let me try this out here. Why don't we get Tanguy back up on stage? And let me see here. This looks good. Okay. So I think we're good. I've got another wearable device here. Now this device is taking advantage of the ability to connect to multiple systems. So you're going to see an exercise of the sensing technology in the device to do head orientation, but you're also going to see how we can integrate the sensing capabilities, the audio capabilities of this device into a PC environment, into a Mac environment, and into iOS. So these demos are all written on different operating systems by the PLT Labs team.
And Kerry, you promise it's not going to hurt. Okay, we'll see.
Watch this. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, so why don't you go ahead and take that.
This one?
Yes, take that wearable concept there.
And I'm going to follow you blindly because you are the one who knows.
So, okay. So is it on? Yes, you look fantastic. So if you didn't see the demo last night, hopefully this is going to function. Hold on here.
So you mean this is the person that looks like me?
Absolutely, just you with a little bit of a dye job here. But so why don't you go ahead and just yeah, there you go. Put the device back on. There you go. Take it off. Don't turn it off. Just take it off. There we go. Oops, where did our video go? Okay. So anyways, there's head orientation capabilities. We're just going to show that. That was a glimpse of what we showed last night. But actually, we're going to take it. No, it's all right. It's all right. So what we're going to show. Do you hear the music? You like the music?
I really love the music.
Okay. Sorry about that. Guys. Okay. No. So you like the music, but weren't you and I talking about like you wanted to actually conduct a little bit, right?
I would definitely love to. So maybe one thing I can do is to kind of put that device off, or is this another device I should be using?
No, this is the one you should be using. You should be able just to put it on.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to put it on and just kind of put it.
Let me just double check here with the team and make sure we're all good.
I like that kind of music, that funky music.
All right. Well, why don't you kind of turn your head?
So I can definitely turn my head. I did not hear anything from my headset. So
You did not hear calibrated.
I did not hear anything indeed. So I just hear that it's connected to my PC though.
Oh, well, fantastic. So it is making a connection to the PC, and you should be calibrated here.
Oh, there's definitely something happening here.
Wow. I think you found the sweet spot.
I can feel that I'm definitely turning into
The human.
I think I'm the band leader right now.
So this is the human interface, right? Look at that. Pretty cool. So what you're seeing here is actually that head orientation data is being fed into a Windows application that we wrote. And we're giving him control. I don't know if we should be giving him this control, but we're giving him some control. We also...
That's really cool, really
You like
cool.
that?
Yeah.
Okay,
I really like that.
So wait, we got some more here. So
You mean I can be more than a band leader?
yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay,
So why don't
right.
you look up?
Whoa, so the volume is pumping up. That's pretty cool. And I guess like an orchestrator.
Yep. If you. Very good. So there we go.
Works
So
pretty
there's.
well.
All right. So why don't you go ahead and take that off and set it down there, and leave it on.
That was pretty cool. I actually put it on or off?
Leave it on. Leave
it on. Let me leave it on.
We want to make sure we are connected. So what you just saw there was the head orientation data that Tanguy's head as it was moving around in 3 dimensions. We were taking that and we were mapping that to channels of audio. All right. So rather than have you put on the headset, which we'd love for you to do, we thought it would be better if we just immersed you in the audio, the audio experience. So.
But I could see real great dense applications really kind of coming from this.
Yeah.
Or having indeed some real fun actually. If we were all wearing indeed our headset together, dancing around this. So there's definitely some nice ideas we could definitely get from this.
Absolutely. So we've got a second demo here. What I'd like to do is I need some help from the PLT Labs team to set up. And I know that, again, through our conversations, you've had some dreams that you really haven't satisfied in life, and I want to grant some of those.
Let's not go there.
Okay,
let's not go there.
All right.
Let's not go there. But yeah, I think I know what you mean. I mean, I wanted to be a band leader, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
So you've got other things that I can accomplish in life?
Yeah, we've got all these chords here, and they're going to actually do something here for you. So why don't we, we're going to take the wearable technology that we just shown there in the concept device, and we're going to use it to drive an experience for you.
Okay.
Yes.
You need to really tell me more about this.
Yes, so why don't we go ahead and...
So is there something behind this screen that we should know about?
Can we take these out?
Sure.
All right.
Okay, let's try that.
Let's see, what number is this one? This one is number 2.
Okay, so at least these are not microphones, so we're not going to have to sing.
No,
that's
are...
the good news for you guys.
These are tripods, and they're really kind of cool.
I can see these are cameras actually on these.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did put some cameras. So we got some GoPros actually on top of these tripods.
So I hope it's not going to be wet.
Sound effects. All right. Not good. Okay.
Okay, and so I guess so you need to be my guide, Kerry. I don't know actually even what you want me to do.
Okay, so once the team is set up here, they are working very hard to get this plugged in. So we're doing a little transition here, but the idea here is really to say, okay, we've shown you a little bit about how you can augment audio, right, and actually bend the audio around you. We would like to do the same thing, but actually escalate that up to video.
Oh, so should I take my headset back?
Let me see here. Are we ready? Almost. We're almost ready. So yes. Ready? I'm waiting for the okay from the labs team. We are ready. All right.
We're ready. So let me put my headset.
Okay, so before you put it on, I need you to stand right there.
Okay, I'm going to sit right there, and I'm going to watch you.
And I want you to look at me, and it's just you and I here.
Okay.
It's just you and I. Yeah, so put on that device. And we'll make sure that it's on 3. Do we have audio? Is that on? Okay. Keep looking, keep looking.
I'm starting to be very nervous about this, Carrie. I just don't know what you're going to kind of invent again, which kind of situation you're going to put me in.
Let me try this one more
I'm
time.
starting to be very embarrassed about this
Yes.
situation.
So actually, I'm just going to see how long you can stand there. We should be good here. We're waiting for our video signal to come in. And I think we're getting there.
Video.
I see blue.
That's a clue, actually.
That's good.
You know, you're not going to tell me that you want me to tell you the news. Is this what you really want me to do?
I do. I'm just trying to get you to stand still for just a minute here. Let's see if it's going to work. Is it going to work? Dead. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We may have a technical problem. Is that one going? That one's going. We're in 3. Let me just double check, make sure it's not. Oh no. I think our demo is not functioning.
Our cameras are dead.
All right. So what we were going to do, and I can talk through this, maybe we can get it resurrected here while I'm talking, but what the idea was is that we can take, again, once we figure out kind of where you are spatially, and using the built-in sensor technology and the wearable concept, is that we can actually do intelligent video switching. So
you mean that I could have pretty much kind of told the news, moving indeed from one camera to another one, and I did not have to do anything. You pretty much kind of would have my headset indicating which camera I was facing and would turn on the camera appropriately. That's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Pretty
So
cool.
that was the gist of the demo. But it's really about adding that context, that body awareness of where you are, and then being able to switch external devices.
And all of this, again, just with those gyroscopes and accelerometer kind of that are in this specific device.
Exactly. So it looks like this one is not functional.
Keep trying?
Nope. I think if it's not functional, it's not functional. I think the last one that we were going to show is why don't we go ahead and, is that a good sign or a bad sign?
Could be good, could be good.
It's the last
So
one.
I think
We promised you wouldn't get hurt.
The important thing here is that I did not get hurt, so that's pretty good. The other piece of good news is that actually the issue was coming from another company.
Right.
So that's actually a piece of good news.
Yep. We're going to have to.
But hey,
All right. So
they did not resist indeed the pressure of the demonstration.
Not a problem. So why don't we move these off?
Should we take
here?
these back? Yep.
Yeah, we've got one more here. So, this application, though, just to kind of talk a little bit more about it, and was built on. And let me switch here. Back to 1. There we go. So this application, and that's off now.
Yep.
Okay. So this application was actually built on top of OS X. So we were taking the data streaming from the headset, we were feeding that into to Mac, and then we were intelligently switching based on your angles where the camera should go. So that was the demo, and that was written by one of the developers on our team. So we have Morgan Davis, who's one of our he's one of our crack application developers.
I know Morgan. He's the one who missed his flight the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, he did miss his flight the other day.
Yeah.
So we sent him out here to go get like donuts because I figured we weren't going to eat lunch.
Yeah, so that's a pretty good idea indeed.
Yes.
I hope he's not lost though. He doesn't know the city very well.
I hope so too, and we'll see if we actually get a call from him. But if not, then
Well, we are just not going to eat today. But
that's right. But I hope he's around. This would be a cue.
So I think Morgan fell asleep.
I think he might have fallen asleep on us a kid here. Yes, but I think we actually have some of his geo information as to where he's at. So
okay, so why don't we track him?
Actually, yeah, since he hasn't.
I guess that's going to be the best thing we can do.
Oh, look at this! Look at this. Here, hold on.
Okay, he's calling now, so he's awake now. Thanks for waking him up. That's been very fun.
Let me hold on a second there, Morgan. Okay, let me get the video back on here. Oops.
You lost Morgan. Again, it's not our technology, it's pretty much the phone that did not work.
But I can see where he's at.
So you mean this, so is this actually a camera that's pretty much showing indeed where Morgan is?
No,
or
that's actually, so that's actually, Morgan's wearing this device right now, and that is, well, he's supposed to be out here, but it looks like, is that Central Park? Yeah, so this is actually streaming from Morgan's phone. So we're taking the head tracking information, we're mashing that up with the GPS, we're taking that, we're packaging it up, and we're shipping it over to the Amazon cloud. So this is actually coming from EC2. And we're pulling it down and rendering it on this device. So if he's lost, which, hey, look at that. Apparently he is. We could actually give him guidance as to where to go.
I can tell it's indeed the Google view here, but I'm not sure we're going to have our donuts soon at this stage.
I don't think so, but maybe he will show up if he gets in a cab. So, okay, so that was the last demo, but it was, we can show these back in the booth, and we would invite you to come check them out. But this is all done with a concept device that we just mentioned.
And again, just doing this indeed without any additional hardware, this is pretty much what's coming from all of the sensing kind of that we get hosted in this Voyager Legend Special Edition. Yes. So how can I put my hands actually on such a device? Because right now we've got millions of customers who've been using the normal Voyager Legend.
Yes.
But what about this one?
So the cool thing is, with pltlabs.com, we are open, which is really about sharing technology with all of you, but it's also, we've got permission to actually share these devices with you, and we're going to plan on giving these devices to, getting them into the hands of developers, innovators, people who are passionate about wearable technology. We really want to share the wearable experience with all of you, and we want your feedback. So if you want to get your hands on one of these, we have a sign-up at pltlabs.com, and we plan on giving these devices out to the wearable community by the fall. So, and when we say devices, again, with the Plantronics philosophy of having very porous devices where you can integrate easily, we'll have APIs and sample applications that go with this. So, if you wanted to do your own augmented version of Google Street Maps, well, you'll have the capabilities to do that. If you want to combine it with some other wearable technology that you're building, you'll be able to do that. But we're going to provide APIs that allow you access to this device.
So what will people need to do if they're interested? Where to go? PLT Labs?
pltlabs.com, right there.
And signing in?
Just sign up. It's free. We just need to be able to know who's interested. We want your feedback. So this is the way that you can get information about the wearable concepts. Get onto the list for having a device when it's available. It's all through the pltlabs.com. So,
okay.
Visit the site, sign up. Love to hear from you, and would love to give a device and get it into your hands. So,
okay, great.
All right. So I think that's all we have.
Okay. So thanks again, Carrie, and thanks again, everyone, for your patience.